The invocation today will be offered by Robert Van Zyl, Chairman of the Sakagan Chippewa Community.
Hello, can you hear me? I could talk louder. It's a real honor and a pleasure to stand here before all of you in this beautiful state of Wisconsin. Before I start, I wanted to say these words to you in this language. I want to pray for our Maganishik Ogichida Mishnabek Gaye Chumokman. I want to pray for our veterans. I also want to say to you people that are sitting here in your suits and looking really nice, we ask for peace on this world. We don't want Russia invading a sovereign country. I want to pray for our veterans that brought in these flags. There was a beautiful ceremony that took place outside of here, and I was observing this. A lady receiving an eagle feather. That's the highest honor a person can receive in Anishinaabe world. And it's very powerful, and it's rewarding for the work that they do. We honor our veterans. Every time we have a powwow, we have our ceremonies, we honor our veterans. So I want to say to each and every one of you, help me with your thoughts. Pray for your loved ones, the ones that are sick, the ones that have already gone home, our past, our future, our present, our people that are dying from opioid use and abuse. These things that are happening on this world, these are the things that we, Anishinaabe people, think about when we say these culture and our traditional ways. So I want to say these words briefly in this language so you can understand and comprehend what I am talking about up here today. I want to also speak for our ladies, the men, the women, the children, our aunties, our uncles, our relatives. And so I want to ask you, think about the ones that you love, the ones that you care for, and the ones you respect. So with that, I want to say these few words with you. I ask you for your thoughts. Nindawe magniduk nikansuduk. Gije banakwit nindishnikas. Moka kijika winibig and dunjaba. Nimi guchiwenda momeno bimadswin. Mashgauziwin. We do kwa. Without caution. Nemishumas. Jesus, to be Jesus, Neba Jesus, Anung gukwak. Ni me kuchiwen da momeno be madswin, Mashgauziwin. We do kwa, without caution. Mishumas sanan, Nakumas Joaquin. Ni me kuchiwen da momeno be madswin, Mashgauziwin. We do kwa, without caution. Ejnikazo, Gichia Odenong, Madison, the city of Madison, Onido. Kagigaduin, ni et the Bungi, Jaganashi Moan, Mishumas. Bungi at the Korn in a tar in a Shinabem. Gawina pitchin in a tar in a Anishinaabe Mose. Beka, Nana mission, Gishpin, Ane giziwean. Mishumas, Nakumas, Nebi Wabukwe, Wabanung, Shawanung, Ninga Bianum, Gaye, Giwedanum. Ninga Bianum, Maingun, Moshkude Bishiki, Mabishan Nistotamna, Nishnapek, Kakikidoin. Giwe denong, giwe din. Nebi wabukwe, mabijan nesato tamna nishnabe kwe. Nimi guchuenda momeno bimadswin. We do kwa, we dao kaushin. Mabijan nesato tamna. Wabanong, wabin. Mabijan nesato tamna nishnabe kwe. Nimi guchuenda momeno bimadswin. We do kwa. Mashkawi, Gabwian, Zungidean, Nishnabek. Kwayaksa tunawa, Gagignoen, Nin. Wabanong, Ginu, Migisi. Mabijan nistotamna nishnabekwe. Nimi guchuenda momeno bimadswin. We do kwa, we dao kaushin. Ginu, Migisi, Mabijan, Nistotamna Nishnabek, Ogichidakwe, Gayea, Megwan, Nishnabekwe. We dao kaushin, we do kwa. Nimi guchuenda momeno bimadswin. Shawain mission, Shawain mishnam. Mishumas nan, Nakumas Joaquin. We do kwa, without caution. Guayaksa tunawa, Gagigiduin, Gije Barnaquet, Nindishnikas. Ho, Miigwech.
The Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by Joanne Matthews, Brigadier General, Wisconsin Army National Guard, Deputy Adjutant General, U.S. Army, and proud Lac du Flambeau tribal member.
Bonjour. I ask each of you to place your right hand over your heart and recite with me the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Miigwech.
Thank you. First item of business is the call of the roll. The clerk will open the roll. Spreitzer, Cabrera, Milroy, Hebel. Have all members recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will close the roll. There are 90 members present. A quorum is present. Gentleman from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ask unanimous consent for a leave for the balance of the day for the lady from the 8th, the lady from the 9th, the gentleman from the 10th, and the lady from the 71st, and a temporary leave for the gentleman from the 54th.
Gentleman from the 45th, ask unanimous consent that a leave for the balance of the day be granted for the ladies from the 8th and the 9th, and the gentleman 8th and the 9th, the gentleman from the 10th, and the lady from the 71st. Is there any objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. A temporary leave has also been requested from the gentleman from the 54th. Is there any objection? Hearing none, it is also ordered. Gentleman from the 27th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ask for unanimous consent for leave for the day for the gentleman from the 37th and temporary leaves for the gentleman from the 15th, 51st, and 49th.
Gentleman from the 27th, ask unanimous consent that a leave for the balance of the day be granted for the gentleman from the 37th and a temporary leave be granted to the gentleman from the 15th, 51st, and 49th. Is there any objection? Hearing none, it is so granted. We are delighted to continue the tradition that was began almost 20 years ago where our tribal leaders have the opportunity to come forward and to explain to us the issues and the priorities and the concerns of our First Nations. So with that, I would like to call President Shannon Holsley of the Stockbridge-Munsee community forward, who will address the legislature today. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much. It's such a humble and pleasure to be here this afternoon. Good afternoon. Governor Evers, Lieutenant Governor Barnes, First Lady Evers, Speaker Voss, President Kapenga, members of the Senate, members of the State Assembly, constitutional officers, cabinet secretaries, justices of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, fellow tribal leaders, esteemed elders, and other honored guests. I just want to take an opportunity to thank the tribal leadership for giving me this opportunity to stand before you today, to celebrate and to honor our elders, our veterans, families, and youth, and to receive those blessings of those who came before us and to bestow those blessings on those who will follow us. Along with Governor Evers, I'd also like to take this opportunity to send birthday wishes to our Oneida matriarch, tribal member Pearl McClester, who turns 100 today. I'm sure at 100 years young, Pearl didn't have time today, so she's out doing her thing and celebrating 100 years. At this time, it is my profound honor to introduce you to the tribal leaders of Wisconsin. Chairman Christopher Boyd of the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians. Chairman Ronald Corn, Senior, Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin. Chairman Michael Wiggins, Bad River Band of Lake Superior Tribe of Chippewa Indians. President Marlon White Eagle, Ho-Chunk Nation. Treasurer Christina Danforth, Oneida Nation. Chairman Ned Daniels, Forest County Potawatomi Community. Councilman Tweed Schuman, Lakudere Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians of Wisconsin. Chairman Robert Van Zyl, Skowhegan Chippewa Community. Chairman William Reynolds, St. Croix Chippewa Indian of Wisconsin. And certainly last but not least, President John Johnson, Lac du Flambeau Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians. I am grateful for the governor, the tribal leadership, and our state partners in our ongoing efforts to conserve and develop our common resource, to protect the welfare of our communities, and to continue to forge a better union. Today represents an opportunity to examine the current state of our union and how we can collectively forge a better nation by examining the self and moving forward through triumphs, tragedies of the violence and the inequities, and involved in continuous evolution of forging a better union, educational foundation, environment, and healthy state of mind. Our willingness to step up in the face of what we are all experiencing with this COVID-19 virus and pandemic has been awe-inspiring. This moment is a true testament to the human spirit and the love for the people we serve. To know that I had leaders like the ones here today, guided and supported, is something I will forever internally be grateful for. And while it is true that some challenges are harder than others, this only means that we must work harder to letting go of the things that are beyond our control and continuing to overcome the challenges we are faced with one day at a time. To that end, I feel it's important to revise our collective approach. I will no longer accept the things I cannot change. I will change the things that I cannot accept. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my parents who continue to shape and inspire me every single day. My pathway was forged by their examples of hard work and family, which come from them being raised by two of the most strong, brave, and amazing women, my grandmothers Lillian and Lucille, who were born during a time where they did not have American citizenship, civil rights, survived the pandemic of the Spanish flu, multiple wars, boarding school, the termination era, and the Great Depression. And yet, they still managed to remain faithful and to raise amazing families and hopeful of the next generation. And I will internally carry them wherever I go. I was taught that we are not given a good life or a bad life. We are given a life, and it is up to us to make it good or bad. Special thanks to our youth, and at a time when the national dialogue about identity are more divisive than ever. Our Native youth are using their strength of their cultures to come together and reach out to others and to mobilize towards meaningful community change. Today, we honor our people and celebrate the rich diversity of all nations. We also want to acknowledge the significant impact of the contributions of what the Wisconsin tribes bring to the state of Wisconsin, culturally, economically, militarily, and historically. In fact, Wisconsin tribes played a significant role in the story of how Indigenous peoples transformed themselves from anthropological curiosities into politically influential voices on both domestic and global issues, in one of the most remarkable paradigm shifts in history. But the truth is, no tribe would have survived if they didn't have the political skills to confront each new challenge or policy that concerned them. From the beginning, Native American tribes have been nations of statesmen and have produced generations like you see here today of leaders who have engaged in every form of politics from the War of 1812 to present. The source of our inspiration today is about statesmanship and tenacity, especially during these trying times. And two of them are two tribal leaders from Wisconsin who helped shape Indian policy in the early 70s, setting the stage for self-determination and modern tribal sovereignty for all 580 federally recognized tribes. These two giants of Indian country showed us by example how Indigenous people can use their voice politically to reshape our futures. Korean War veteran Chairman Ernie Stevens Sr. of the Oneida Nation and Menominee activist Ada Deer both played a vital role in the rapid establishments of sovereignty as a policy and political attribute of Indian nations, and coincidentally both work for the Department of Indian Affairs. Chairman Stevens, as the American Indian Policy Review Commission's Executive Director, and Ms. Steer as the Assistant Deputy Secretary after she was able to assist her tribal nation in regaining its federal recognition. Their vision and hard work helped shift the narrative from Indian tribes as wards of the government into modern political nations that contribute hundreds of billions to the national gross domestic product. These leaders set the stage for American Indian nations to explore the possibilities of new political status and chart a course for economic independence that will continue for generations to come. We only need to look to the flags carried by our color guard to know that our sacrifices are small in comparison. There is no expression great enough to show how proud we are of your contribution to the United States and to the sovereign nations represented here today. Since the beginning of the Republic, American Indians have served at the highest rate per capita of any nationality in the United States. In our community, we honor our warriors because of their commitment to our country's safety and security. But with that comes the responsibility of meeting the collective needs of all veterans, and we must ensure that the challenges they face are being addressed and facilitated. We support Senate Bill 688 and Assembly Bill 720, which is the Wisconsin Military Medics and Corpsmen Program. Currently, when medically trained service members and veterans transition into their civilian life, their comprehensive military health care training and hands-on patient care experience is not appropriately recognized. Incomparable practice requirements in the civilian health care settings. As a result, many veterans and service members are left unemployed, underemployed, or leave the health care altogether. Wisconsin's long-standing healthcare shortages have only worsened throughout this pandemic, and these bills are significantly important as a tool to make sure that Wisconsinites have access to high-quality care that they need and deserve, especially in rural and tribal communities. As we struggle with COVID-19 pandemic and the economic revitalization, Indigenous communities are no longer content to wait for others to make decisions for us. These days are gone, and given the tribe's leadership and forward movement during the pandemic to protect not only our communities, but the communities around us, I believe there were lessons to be learned from the tribe's responses to the pandemic. In the last several years since the pandemic, 1.5 million Americans have died, and many of those deaths were unnecessary due to the politicalization and failure to take serious the worst global public health crisis in over a century. But tribal nations chose a different path. From the beginning, tribal leaders had a clear understanding of what was happening and were in a desperate race to protect our communities because we have a historic experience with epidemics and deadly pathogens. We move quickly to organize task force, coordinate a rapid response through clinics, epidemiologists, law enforcement, housing, other departments to create plans for our employees, citizens, and communities to remain safe during necessary shutdowns and until a vaccine could be developed. We solicited Governor Evers for assistance from the National Guard to help with vaccines and testing. We reached out to state nationals and tribal organizations for PPE, isolation, and quarantine guidelines. Because in our small tribal communities, the loss of any citizen is too high of a price. And losing a single elder, as it's described, is like a library burning down. And with it, the loss of our culture, our traditions, and teachings also go with that. I want to thank Governor Evers, Secretary Timberlake, and the Wisconsin National Guard for becoming our comrades in arms in the battle of COVID-19. Our tribal communities are profoundly grateful for Governor Evers' leadership and the collaboration of his team, and especially all of those frontline workers. We thank you for your sacrifices you make every single day, and especially during the pandemic. Your dedication and commitment and courage deserve our deepest gratitude and admiration. Your service to our communities is saving countless lives and making a difference to us all. The conversation of our democracy is also at stake. For almost 3 years in which our nation has endured a global pandemic, economic hardship, and a contentious election, now is not the time to further inflame division. It is our nation's leaders to help America heal. It is said that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Unfortunately, we've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country, even if it meant destroying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. Native Americans were denied American citizenship and voting rights until 1924. And that history had a chilling effect on electoral and civic participation. Exercising your right to vote is critically important. This is about the well-being of the United States citizens. Eradicating barriers to political participation for Native Americans would improve socioeconomic status, self-determination, land rights, water rights, and health care. Thus, I applaud Speaker Vos, who upheld the intent of the integrity of this process in Wisconsin, with the emphasis on the need to focus on the future. Legislation suppressing the right to vote purports to be neutral. However, in many instances, it undermines the basic right to participate in our democracy. The loss of the right to vote is the loss of the voice in the democratic process. We should all do more to ensure that all Americans, including Native Americans, can exercise this right easily with undue hardship. Conservation of our natural resources are imperative. We do not inherit the earth, we borrow it from our children and grandchildren. The woodland tribes of the Great Lake area were the first to use the many resources of the Great Lakes Basin. Abundant game, fertile soil, and plentiful water enabled the early development of hunting, subsistence, agriculture, and fishing. Respecting and caring for the Great Lakes is an inherent responsibility passed on for generations. Food impacts all parts of our daily life. It isn't about feeling full and satisfied. It's also about feeling connected to community and belonging. Across cultures, food is a way to bring people together at the table and celebrate our shared humanity. On a hierarchy of needs, food, water, shelter, and rest are foundations for healthy humans. Without these fundamental pieces in place, it's difficult to advance to thinking about safety, community, and our potential. Food security is at the baseline of human survival. Without it, we cannot thrive, let alone survive. Our tribal food sovereignty initiatives promote traditional foodways and indigenous health through foods tailored to American Indian dietary needs. The USDA is partnering with tribal serving organizations on multiple projects that reimagine federal food and agricultural programs from an indigenous perspective and inform future USDA programs and policies. We must all continue to look at ways in transforming America's food system with a greater focus on resilient local and regional food production, fairer markets for all producers, ensuring access to safe, healthy, and nutritious food in all communities. We must build new markets and revenue streams for farmers and producers using smart food and forestry practices. We need historic investments in infrastructure and clean energy capabilities in rural areas and committing to equity by removing systematic barriers and building a workforce more representative of a diverse Wisconsin. Especially as it relates to the continuous threats of the climate change, pipelines, and extractive mining. We are extremely concerned with the inadequate environmental analysis of Enbridge Line 5 pipeline reroute. It does grave injustice to frontline tribal communities. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is responsible for determining whether infrastructure projects proposals in the state are environmentally sound. In December, the department released, as we understand, a draft which we believe on an environmental review was a very dangerous plan by Enbridge Energy to relocate part of Line 5 oil pipeline where it runs through the Bad River watershed. Both the plan and the environmental review did not factor the hazards this proposal creates for the surrounding communities, including the Bad River Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians, as well as the ecosystems of the surrounding rivers and the local drinking water supply. The pipeline crosses over 280 rivers and streams that flow indirectly into the Great Lakes waters that supply drinking water to over 40 million people. The Great Lakes are the lifeblood of tribal nations across Ontario, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, who depend on this connected tributaries, coastal waters, groundwater aquifers, and fish and plant populations to sustain their supply of water, food, and ancient medicines for well over 10,000 years. Safeguarding these tributaries and coastal wetlands is critical to maintaining the deeply rooted connection to the natural world and emotional well-being and our cultural traditions. Under the leadership of the Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes and the Governor's Task Force on Climate Change, this is the first step in a bold and courageous action. It was intended and developed collaboratively by appointees from all sectors, institutions, and communities across the state. The effect of climate change transects all sectors, geographies, and people. And while we all experience these changes, low-income communities and communities of color are disproportionately impacted, bearing the most severe consequences. Failing to act swiftly and leaving the climate crisis to manifest unchecked will continue to wreak havoc in Wisconsin and across the nation. Wisconsin's climate is changing. These changes affect the stability of Wisconsin's economic sectors as well as human health and safety. Immediate action is necessary. That also includes our continued protection of our relative, the wolves. We have to ask ourselves, what kind of earth are we giving our children and grandchildren? The goal of conferring rights to nature is to secure the highest level of environmental protection under which an ecosystem can thrive, ensuring rights are not violated. These nature rights are very often associated with human rights, especially the right to a clean and healthy environment. The Rights of Nature law recognizes that an ecosystem has the rights to exist, flourish, regenerate, and its vital cycles, and naturally evolve without human-caused disruption. The treatment of Native American people in American history is really not an easy one to tell. It's not easy to hear, and it's even harder to acknowledge. The policies of the United States, including genocide, ethnic cleansing, forced removals, and brutal assimilationist policies, have significantly impacted our communities to this day. But our discomfort in sharing this painful collective history pales in comparison to the lived experience that so many Native people endured in the past 530 years. The impact of these actions authorized by the United States government upon Native American people and cultures is something that we will never truly make whole. But there must be a willingness to teach a balanced account of U.S. history that incorporates accurate, comprehensive, and relevant curriculum in Native American history and culture. A proposed Wisconsin bill would prohibit teaching curriculum that brings greater depth and understanding to long misrepresented history of Indigenous culture for fear of hurting students' feelings. Hence, it is our view and response as tribal nations that perhaps what is needed is not critical theory and more critical thinking. But to have critical thinking, you have to face the full paranormal national history head-on. As co-equal domestic sovereigns, we have a federal trust and treaty-based relationship with the United States. As you can see from the many tribal members here today, American Indians are not a people of the past. It's easy to relegate Natives as irrelevant, past tense peoples, and it can be hard for teachers who aren't connected with Native communities to understand what it means to be Native in a contemporary role. Today, however, Native identity is shaped by many complex social, political, historical, and cultural factors. To the end, we are working on an initiative that draws from partnerships including state offices, Native nations, and teacher organizations to help develop sustainable and relevant curriculum, to recruit teachers, and to develop programs that introduce relevant plans into school systems around our state and hopefully beyond. This is not that those that do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. Those words were first spoken by George Santana, and really, quite honestly, they're still very true today, and because of how true they are. History, with all its glory and ugliness, gives us the opportunity to learn from past mistakes. It helps us understand the many reasons why people may behave the way that they do. As a result, it helps us become more compassionate as people and more impartial as decision makers. Sports, cartooning, and mascots are especially vile in Native parents, grandparents, and community and extended family because of the harm that these practices do to our self-esteem of our children and Native youth. Low self-esteem factors prominently in suicides and our teen suicide rate has been at near or the highest level in the United States for more than a century. So this is a matter of life and death for most Native peoples. It is also the main reason so many of us devote time and energy to ridding sports of these dehumanizing, objectifying, belittling, and behaviors. Civilization rules were in place for over half a century, from 1880 into 1936. And their ill effects were felt throughout the 1900s into the century. We didn't even get a religious freedom policy until 1978, or laws to recover our relatives and cultural remains from museums and other repositories until the 1990s. We are still the only segment of society that cannot use the First Amendment to protect our sacred places. Far too long, Indigenous people have faced discrimination, disrespect, violence, and oppressive use of words and imagery. And as long as we can be treated badly in this very public way, Native people will continue to be persistently mistreated, and our collective and individual rights will be at risk. To do nothing to change these hurtful practices and to allow its continuation in any context is a complicit perpetuation of derogatory, bigoted, and harmful practices, and it is nothing short of lateral violence toward Native American people. Words and images do matter. Imagine the outcry if there was a team called the colonizers. Why should we care about preserving tribal language? In our communities, language is culture. When a language becomes extinct, just like the gray wolf, it can take with it much of our history and the culture of our people who spoke it and continue to revere it. I cannot stress enough the importance of retaining our tribal languages. Our languages teach many things about us. Language identifies our relationship to all our relatives, including our four-legged, winged ones, and the ones that live in the water and crawl upon the earth, and those that grow from the earth. We also need our state to continue to invest in our K-12 public school systems, whether are we talking about special education, aid or programs for students, mental health, or English language learners, and rural and tribal schools is what's really best for our kids. An investment in our public school system is an investment in the broader economic wellness of the entire state. We also have to look to the challenges that require us to look more deeply and address the perils of addiction. One such initiative aligns with the governor's commitment to combat and fight the opioid addiction that exists, and to build upon the aggressive measures that you already have in combating the opioid crisis in Wisconsin. This is something that all 11 tribes prioritized as important, of building a culturally centric adolescent wellness treatment center. And we are so close, and we hope that through your partnership, we will bring this critically needed resource to healing our youth. My sister, Leah Denny, founder of the Her Wellness Institute, put it best. She said, "Our Indigenous communities are answering a call to come together, and many of these efforts are embracing a matriarchal and shared leadership approach. Together, we will co-create a wellness ecosystem for health justice that centers our communities' shared experiences, prioritizes our collective safety, and transcends our community in a state of perpetual perpetuity." Mental health reaches all aspects of our lives, and we need to address the deep ache for healing from the generational pain of historical trauma. That accompanies unresolved grief. These experiences are shared across all families in Indian country. Experiences like the forced removal of children, removal off homelands, allotment, urbanization, assimilation, outlawing language and traditional practices, foodways, ceremonies, bullying, including acts of the Western patriarchal violence, and genocide, to the relentless and intergenerational heartache and grief for our missing and murdered Indigenous people. To decolonize racist educational curriculum, practices, and mascots. These unforgiving events impact our youth, who have inherited the consequences of these inhumane practices. There is no such thing as individualism in mental health. From domestic violence, sexual assault, intimate partner violence, community violence, sex trafficking, substance abuse, overdose, imprisonment, high school dropout, and severe mental conditions. Access to equitable childcare and unemployment and homelessness. All of this is mental health. And it absolutely needs to address. And the pandemic has brought unparalleled challenges for domestic violence programs, survivors, and communities across Wisconsin. Survivors of violence and their children experience significantly higher amounts of distress and have more complex needs as a result of this pandemic. The fact is, the missing, murdered, and Indigenous people is about more than law enforcement response or lack of response to violence in Indian country. Some of those pieces are certainly detrimental, but at the crux of MMIP is the length of time in which American Indians and Alaskan Natives have been continuously devalued, fetishized, humanized, and discarded. Therefore, there is an urgent need to think differently about homicide prevention work and what safety looks like for our communities. And we are so excited to see the Wisconsin Tribal Supportive Housing Initiative embarking on an initiative that is focused on developing culturally specific supportive housing on and off tribal land. Supportive housing matches deeply affordable housing with support services for those with mental health and subsistent use needs, physical challenges, and people who are experiencing homelessness to help them live more stable and fulfilling lives. It has always been the goal for our tribal nations to produce multiple revenue streams and provide our nations sustainable growth. A strong economy is the goal of every nation. A sustainable economy enhances a nation's standard of living by creating wealth and jobs and encouraging development of new businesses and jobs, and to help ensure everyone has a brighter future. We must grow an economy of a future to make that Wisconsin and tribal communities have the jobs that we need to support our families, home, and nations. And if we do not, we will clearly fall behind. Native Americans to the tourism, or NATOW, of Wisconsin is indicative of a resourceful and needed resource. Tourism provides a strategic pathway for tribes to deliver our economies while telling our true story and concerning and connecting our culture and history. NATOW's important work goes directly to promoting tribal tourism and building economic development by developing new businesses and reinvigorating our current businesses. NATOW has formed a strong partnership with the state of Wisconsin that will complement all of Wisconsin's tourism programs and are finding continued ways to leverage culture tourism on behalf of our communities and grow our economies. We all know nothing succeeds without a plan, designated resources, or an infrastructure. And NATOW is currently working diligently on a variety of initiatives around outdoor recreation, scenic byways, agricultural tourism, native art and culture, all of which intersect with tribal economies now and into the future. The tribes are here. Reach out, state leaders. We are ready to begin work on the new challenges we face. We need to build bridges, not walls, and the tribal nations stand ready to support you as we work to address the need for access to technology and to expand broadband access for all areas in need. Because we know if Wisconsin wants to continue to compete in a global economy, it is crucial to build an infrastructure where every community is able to connect to fast and reliable internet. This initiative would triple the state's broadband and technology investment and would allow all Wisconsin communities, especially rural and tribal communities, to compete for jobs, improve our overall education, and provide a higher quality of life. The tribes have already committed millions of dollars to Wisconsin's infrastructure to build roads, parks, external businesses, and cultural centers, to name a few. The need for action in Wisconsin is clear. And recently released state-level data demonstrated that the bipartisan infrastructure law will deliver for Wisconsin. For decades, infrastructure in Wisconsin has suffered from systematic lack of investment. And this historic bill would really make life better for millions of Wisconsin residents and generations of good-paying jobs, economic growth, the broadband expansion, and collaborative partnerships. And specifically, it would include reconnecting communities through that pilot program declared for states, local governments, and tribal governments, and building and designing that. And the projects that would improve, of course, transportation and safety for everyone. Additionally, the Department of Transportation's Secretary Thompson and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is working with federally recognized tribes and their governments to update the signage on the state highways, signifying the tribe's boundaries in both English and native language renditions of the tribe's names. Recently, the Red Cliff Band in Bayfield unveiled their sign, their first dual language sign in Ojibwe language and English, reflecting the importance of language in our communities. These initiatives are crucial because when tribes succeed, the state of Wisconsin succeeds. Strong tribal economies equals a strong Wisconsin. The tribal nations here today represent the resilience of our ancestors. We are the seeds that descended from those who survived forced removals, genocide, termination, and assimilation. Generation after generation, Indigenous people have tenaciously hung on to defend their languages, lands, cultures, and their people with resilience and determination. Once thought of a remnants of a human's past that disappeared in the fog of history, Indigenous peoples and their ancient wisdom are more relevant than ever. And against all odds, we are still here today. our ancestors' sacrifices, we must never forget that our actions today will impact those that precede. For us, it's never about the next election. It's about the next generations and beyond. Unlike what has been depicted in history, books, and media, tribes are not monolithic. Wisconsin tribes are diverse and unique, and someday we will be the ancestors of our descendants for whom we continue to push, to grow, to thrive, and to nourish the world. So today, it's important to reaffirm that, in spite of the many determined efforts to extinguish our people, we are still here. Not only that, but the next generation of our young people are now emerging as political actors in global, regional, and local debates. That is why representation truly matters, and it is so critical to preserve the sanctity of democracy, where diverse groups of people are included where decisions are made. That is why voting is so sacred. Because, quite honestly, the future lies in the choices we make today. And of course, I wish for a future where everyone, regardless of race, age, sexual orientation, can express who they really are, and they are seen as the extraordinary individuals that they are. And today, it's for Isabella, and especially for those who feel like you don't fit in this world. It's because you are here to help create a new one. Our future is diverse and female, and we are rising to leadership roles in politics as in any other institutions. Like I always say, it's like fry bread and women. If you don't let it rise, it isn't going to turn out well for you. We must strive to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of the people who make up our great country. And so, we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We have to confront these realities if we are ever going to move forward, where there is a space for grief, fear, and hope, unity, and gratitude. Let's be as audacious as the red of my lips and the word from my tongue. It is just not a moment, it's a movement. It is said that if you are not hungry for justice, equity, and inclusion, it is perhaps because you are too full of privilege. And quite honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm starving. Anishik.
please rise as we retire the colors.